I was told this was going to be a quick in and out mission. Download the files and leave. Well, here I am. My friend's dead at my feet, my guns and batteries exhausted, the Decker dead. The mission is a failure. And there it is. The dragon. Hello everyone, I'm Nurgleprobe and welcome to episode 4, Shadowrun Crossfire. Alright, so Shadowrun Crossfire is a cooperative deck building game for 2 to 4 players, though I would suggest to always try and play with 4 players because it's really hard otherwise, and I will come to why. It's designed by Mike Elliott, Rob Heinsoe, Jim Lynn, Gregory Marcus, Sean McCarthy, and Rob Watkins. There's quite a lot of chefs involved with this game, and it's published by Catalyst Game Labs. The game takes place in the cyberpunk setting of Shadowrun, which is also a pen and paper role-playing game. It's also been released as a video game a few times. So the first one was, I believe, the old SNES game or Super Nintendo game, which was really good. It was also one of the few games that was actually released in Swedish back in the day. So it's kind of hard to find now, but it's really interesting that they translated that game. It was also then later released as an FPS game, and then recently Shadowrun Returns, which is a kind of a honoring of the old SNES game, which is a lot of fun. You should check it out if you enjoy that universe and that kind of setting. So Shadowrun Crossfire, it's a deck builder, which means that as in any other deck builder game, you have a set of cards in the beginning of the game, then you buy cards and you add that to your deck to make it stronger. But unlike many other deck building games, this actually this was the thing that got me so interested with this game. As soon as I looked at the box, I saw that it said co-op deck builder, and I was immediately like, oh my god, because I love co-op games, but I also love deck builders, and mixing those two, amazing. And me and my girlfriend really likes playing deck builders already, so I was really interested in seeing how that would work out. So yes, it's a co-op game, which means that you fight together. There's no hidden traitor, there's no hidden information between the players, except for your hand of cards, which you can keep hidden, of course, or discuss it openly if you wish. And that is so that there will be no alpha player that tells you what to do and so on and so on. So it's kind of to keep the fun in the game. With the box, you also get 3 missions, which is named Crossfire, which is basically a fighting mission. Extract, which is to keep a client alive, or a VIP, or whatever you prefer to call it. And then there's the boss fight, Dragon Fight, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a dragon fight, you fight a dragon, and it's awesome. So yes, you work together to beat these missions, and something that's really interesting, you actually have characters in this game. Or well, you have different character cards. They are all based on races. So there's orcs, trolls, humans, dwarves, and elves. And even though there's different images, they're all the same stats within the same race. But still, you can take one character card, you can actually put a name on that card and make it a bit more personal. Something that's also very interesting about these is that they level up eventually. So if you complete a mission, the card that you're playing with will get karma, or XP points, which you then can use to level up that character. So basically with that karma, or XP, or points, or whatever you want to call it, it's called karma in the game, so let's stick to that. You can buy stickers for those character cards. And yes, it's stickers. They stick onto the cards. So they cost differently, these stickers, and they have different abilities that you can put on these characters. So for example, you can have one that's like, draw 1 extra card at the beginning of the game, or do more damage to this certain kind of enemy, and so on and so on. And that is really fun that you can kind of evolve these characters in a deck building game. Something else that this game has that is very different from all other deck builders that I've played really is that they have roles in this game. Not only do you have your character that is based on a race that gives you different card draws, well, not card draws, but beginning hands and money and so on, you also get 4 different roles that changes how you want to build your deck throughout the game. And the roles are Street Samurai, Decker, Mage, and Face. The reason these 4 roles actually changes how you play the game is because they change how your starting deck looks. They give you 4 cards that's affiliated to your class or role, and then you get 1 from each other role in the game. And then the enemies in the game also have role-specific symbols on them. So if you're the Street Samurai, you have an easier time to defeat your type of enemies, and then the mage will have easier time defeating the mage related enemies, and so on and so on. So you will be focused on one type of enemy throughout the game. In the beginning of a turn or a scene, you get to play these enemies or obstacles. And the reason this game is really, really hard with fewer players is because when you're fewer players, all these roles that I mentioned, they need to be involved in every game. So if you're 2 players, you get 2 roles each. And 4 players, you only get 1 role each. And in the beginning of turn, you draw these obstacle cards. These obstacle cards have colors on them that matches the role that you have in play. So for example, if you draw a black obstacle card, that actually connects to the Street Samurai. That means that that obstacle is put in front of the Street Samurai player, and he has to fight off that enemy. All players can cooperate in fighting a certain enemy, but the enemy will always do damage to the player that they are in front. So me as the Street Samurai will always take the damage from the Street Samurai enemies because they are put in front of me when they are revealed. Much like in Boss Monster, where if you have the matching symbol or the majority of the matching symbol, they will come to your dungeon instead of another player's. But that's another game, I'm not going to talk about that. And yeah, this guard game is really hard because of that, especially at fewer players, because you get more different types of enemies in front of you, and your deck is still the same. You don't get more cards because you have 2 roles, and you still have to focus on getting different cards from the game that you buy and put in your deck. But if that wasn't hard enough already as it was, you also have something called the Crossfire cards, which are drawn in the beginning of a turn. These are passive effects or events that happen throughout the turn, which makes the game harder for you. Sometimes they have positive effects as well, but mostly they are pretty shitty. Grenades can come at you, some enemies become stronger for that turn, some enemies are harder to kill, some enemies heal. You get so mad when this happens, especially when you're fighting off a really hard enemy and they heal all of a sudden. It's really annoying. And you draw one of these each turn, and you really have to remember that is there, because if you forget it as soon as you start throwing out cards, you're kind of like, damn it, I just wasted everything. So now when we are on the subject of actually buying cards, let's talk about that for a second. Instead of like many other deck building games when there is a stack of cards in the middle of the table that you can buy from, that's decided on the beginning, instead you have, I don't remember how many cards exactly, I think it's between 6 or 8 cards shown. They're drawn from a pile called the black market. So as soon as you buy a card, instead of just having more of that card, you draw a card from the black market and put that in its place. So you never know what you can buy until you actually buy anything. You need to buy some cards to, show what the deck actually can offer. And sometimes you just have to buy cheap cards to get a cycle going so that you can see what's going to pop up. Because you don't want to waste money on lesser good cards just to, or like medium good cards that cost medium money, just to waste all your money, and then a good card comes out and you're like, damn it, I should have bought that. And instead of putting it in your graveyard, as in many other deck builders, you actually put the cards into your hand. And instead of drawing a completely new hand each turn, you actually do it, and at the end of your turn, if you only have 3 or less cards, you draw 2 cards. And then you can buy cards and put those cards in your hand. And that is to help the complexity, or not the complexity, but how hard this game is. It's really hard to defeat the enemies, so they kind of want you to be able to plan ahead. So how do you actually defeat these obstacle and enemies in the game? Well, each card or obstacle card has a line of symbols at the top of them, which shows you what is needed to defeat them. And then you need to play cards from your hand in the order that is shown there. So let's say the line is a 3, then a red symbol, a 3, and a red symbol. Then the 3 means that you can do any color damage to it. So you can play a green card, a red card, and a blue card, and you deal 3 damage. And then you need to deal red damage to the red symbols, and so on and so on. And you need to deal this damage in order. So you can't cheat and play you only play red cards first, then you draw cards and you realize, oh, I only draw green cards. You can't use that red cards for the red damage later. Then you have to do that damage next turn or in a following turn. Or another player can also deal that damage if they feel like helping you, like they probably should. When you defeat the enemy, or when you finish this line, and it's also worth noticing that this damage never disappears unless they heal for some reason. So you actually have a marker that shows you how far you've gotten on each obstacle. When you defeat one of these enemies, you get money, and the money is shared between all players. And this money is then used to buy cards from the black market. Now I believe we covered the most basic things about the game, pretty much everything on the game. Of course, there are some rules that I haven't explained or some things that I haven't explained properly, because you should find that out yourself when you play it. I think you've gotten the most important things mentioned here. And I love this game. It's incredibly hard to beat. I've only beaten it once, and I think we played it like 10, 15 times, and yes, we won one time, so nothing has leveled up for us yet, but I'm looking forward to the day when we can do that. Mostly I think it's because we're 2 players. There's actually a lot of guides on the internet saying that you should probably play as 2 players each instead of having 2 roles each. So let's say you have, like you play for 2 players basically, and we should try that someday. But at the moment we're still having fun, even though we're getting our asses kicked by the game every time. It's supposed to be hard because it's a co-op game, and I really love it. And it's a deck building game, and it's so intense, and you buy a card, and the difference from this one and other deck building games is really great. Like, putting a card into your hand is great. Having different kind of enemies that you need to defeat is fun. Having different abilities and events that happen that screws you up is also fun. Everything is, even though it's horribly hard, it's still a lot of fun. It's basically the Dark Souls of card games, or deck building games, or co-op games, or however you like to see it. I've also heard that like a game like Ghost Stories is also incredibly hard. I haven't played it, so I can't really compare, but I still like this format of gaming more. I like the deck builder games. I like being strategic in that way, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm really happy that there's no hidden roles. Sadly, the only thing that's kind of annoying about this game is that we haven't seen any expansions yet. We haven't seen more missions. We have seen one, I used the ears here, expansions, which was basically just more stickers, and more stickers that were also released in the base game. So there were no new stickers. They were just like a re-release of the stickers. And then you got some new character cards with new artwork, and yeah, that's kind of what that was. I was not disappointed about that. You also got one of each class card, so that you had some sexier cards. So yeah, overall Shadowrun is a great fun game. I don't have much else to say than that. It's really interesting. It can be kinda addicting, which is probably a good thing when you're thinking about it. I mean, it's supposed to be fun. So yeah, I really like this game. I love it a lot. And I love the fact that you can level up your characters, and that makes you struggle a lot more. You want your characters to evolve so that you can play with new abilities, and even though I have not experienced that yet, I know that you can actually just put stickers on your cards and use that for fun. So you don't really need to level up, but I feel like I need to do that. I feel like I really need to complete this challenge of beating the game and then level up. That is my reward. But it will probably take years before I get, that much points. I don't remember what the most expensive karma sticker is, but I'm pretty sure it's like 40, 50 karma or something, and you get like 2 or 3 karma each mission that you beat. But yeah, it's a great game. You should definitely try it. You should definitely buy it. If you enjoy deck building games to begin with, you should try this out. It's a lot of fun compared to other deck builders where you always sit for yourself and build your deck. Here you actually have to discuss what you buy with other players, which is a lot of fun. So instead of this quiet kind of buy card, play card, you're all of a sudden very invested in what's happening on the board. Like, should I buy that card or should you buy that card? Because I can combo that card with the cards in my hand or in my deck. Can you do that? That is a Street Samurai card, but I'm the mage, but I still kind of want that damage. Should I buy it or should you? Can you help me with this obstacle next turn, or should I defeat it now? I have these cards in my hand. Should I heal you and defeat your enemy, or defeat my own enemy because it's dealing a lot of damage right now? It's so intense and it's so good. Shadowrun Crossfire, deck building game for co-op. Check it out. I'm Nurgleprobe, as we all know. Thanks for listening to this podcast review of Shadowrun Crossfire. It's also a follow-up on my Instagram sketch on the very same game, which you can find on instagram.com/Nurgleprobe. It's something like that. Or you just check your phone and search for Nurgleprobe and you will find me. So yeah, I will also leave a link to that in the information wherever you are. So thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode 4, and come back for episode 5, where I will talk about another game, which I'm not sure which yet, but it will be amazing. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.